So today I just wanted to present you with struggles. It's spring. We are like in the market of spring 2025. People are like, this is the time where people have been waiting for and preparing for the last 9 months. And they're in it. And they're being faced, agents, clients, sellers, and buyers are being faced with challenges. And I just kind of wanted to present them to you.
Yeah.
And you digest them, shoot from the hip kind of thing. Tell me your thoughts on them.
And just so the audience knows, I have no idea what she's going to ask. She hasn't, like, outside of just giving me this right now.
I just laid this in front of them.
So I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but that sometimes makes it a little bit better, right? Because then it's not a prepared response.
Right.
So
And
we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. I'm going to obviously let you talk and really explain what you would do, but then I'm going to move on to the next.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep it going. And then at the end, we're going to do kind of a lightning round of 7 things like tips.
Yeah. Well, I think this is really good because I always enjoy some of the feedback that I get on these podcasts and certainly the social media that we cut it up into to figure out like what other people think. Because again, I'm in my own universe. I have my own ideas. You know, I hang out with a lot of the same people because I believe that they're going in the same direction and the right idea that I have. But, you know, it's always curious to hear what other people think too. So.
Right. And yeah. I personally love listening to podcasts where one day we're going to have callers call in.
Yeah.
And present us with issues. And maybe we do that sooner than later. Like the Dave Ramsey show, people will call in with their financial situation and he like breaks it down.
Yeah.
And I love hearing people's different scenarios and then hearing what he has to say about it. So I was kind of wanting to dip my toe into, or like figure out our way into that.
We could even set up agents with no knowledge of what they're going to say. We could set them up like every 15 minutes.
What do you mean?
Like have agents in our organization just go, hey, listen, call in or Zoom in, whatever.
Yeah,
we'll Zoom in, pop them up on the screen and be like, what's going on? What's your question?
Yeah.
And then just like
you coach them through
minutes,
it.
I'll coach them on 15 minutes and then the next person pop up and we can do that 2 or 3 of them in a row.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
First things first. And I've been hearing this for the past 4 to 6 weeks. Low inventory. Not no inventory. Just you got to fight out there. And we live in like the southern region of Massachusetts. So this is specific to that market.
Yeah, because there's plenty of areas throughout the country that have like an abundance of inventory.
I read that Florida actually has a ton of inventory right now.
Florida market sort of continued to go up when we didn't. Like when we sort of stabilized after the interest rates went up. Florida, Tennessee, Idaho, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, all of those. And part of that was because they could influx a lot of inventory into the market and satisfy the demand with new construction.
Yeah.
And we can't. And so
why is that?
Because we don't have land.
Why?
There's a number of different reasons. Well, we don't have land because it's already been developed. Right. So and then there's also size restrictions that Massachusetts and towns put it on.
Massachusetts, the historical restrictions too. They have a lot of hoops. You do not see a ton of new construction in Massachusetts.
No, I mean, you look at Florida, they just build houses on 5,000 square foot lots. So it's like, you know, you have an acre of land.
My hometown in Georgia.
You can get 6 lots out of an acre, right?
Yes.
Maybe 8 lots out of an acre, easy with the road and everything else. Up here, like take for a town like Concord or Lexington, you need 2 acres, new construction.
Really?
Yeah, no, minimum 2 acres.
That's the rule.
Yeah. You can't like that people go in like just under 2 acres. No.
So then to even buy, say I've seen it where 25 acres go up for sale, 60 acres go up for sale. An investor maybe would want to go look into buying that and then putting up new housing. They're restricted on how much housing they can even put on there. So then it makes it like maybe not as attractable.
Well, yeah, but there's also like massive. So first of all, it's going to cost you like to put in a development. It's going to cost you probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like $100,000 to $150,000 just in engineering and attorney's costs just to get the sort of situation approved. Then you've got to deal with conservation and the EPA, and you've got to do setback restrictions. And so if there's like a little vernal pool, you've got to stay a certain amount of feet away from it, 25-foot setback, and then there's a 50, and then there's a no touch within 100 feet. And So you have this one sort of little wetlands area, and then if
there's a lot of wetlands in
spotted
Massachusetts.
frog or anything in there, then they'll just shut the entire thing down. And so you have to have all of these things done. And if you need septic systems, then you've got to have perk tests everywhere. And if you're connecting to town sewer, some towns, each individual property to connect to town water and sewer, like a town like Norton, I think it's like $4,000 to $6,000 a piece just for permits. Not even like connecting the house to
permit.
Just like it's going to cost you $10,000 per lot just in connection fees. And that's not including the cost of actually running the line.
The permit fees are a thing.
Right. And then all of these things, the Massachusetts energy codes these days, you need to put in air exchange fans now because the houses are so tight with air that like there's no air circulation from the outside to the inside of the house anymore. And that presents a problem. So now you need actually fans that circulate air inside and outside of the house because they're too tight. So that's how energy efficient they require it to be.
Oh.
Yeah, so Massachusetts
and then there's a second order effect.
Right.
Which is the flow.
And then the airflow. And so now you need systems that can respond to that. And you have to have like the code that's required. So it costs a lot of money to build up in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Between permitting and timelines and EPAs and DEPs and all of that kind of stuff. It just takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money.
So typically the inventory up here is an existing house.
Or it's high end. So you can't like right now we need hundreds of affordable housing units, right? But they're not going to put 1,000 square foot ranch with a 2-car garage on a lot because the lot to develop it and get it build ready is going to cost $350,000. Even if you do it at scale, and some of these guys do, and it's like $100,000 a lot, they look at it and they go, okay, well, why would I build a ranch for $250 a square foot to get 1,000 square feet? It's going to cost me $250,000 plus $100,000 in lot costs. It's going to cost me $350,000. I'm going to sell it for $500. And then after expenses and cost of money, because money costs a lot of money to borrow, you're going to end up looking at like $80,000-$90,000 versus you build a 3,000 square foot at $300,000. And now it's $300 a square foot. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, your build cost is $900,000 plus $100,000, but you can sell it for $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, which one are you going to do? Yes, there's more cost to building that, but you're going to get a higher return on your investment.
Any new housing is going to be practically over $1 million.
Whatever it is, it's going to be high end of that area.
No one's going to build a $500,000 to $700,000 house.
Unless the state incentivizes you to build what are called 40B projects. And they allow you to build on a more confined or smaller lot size. If you build houses that are typically affordable and or you give one of the seventh or eighth unit to affordable housing. So if the houses are going for like $900,000, they sell one out of every 8 for like $250,000. And then it's deed restricted. So that person who buys it can't then just turn around and sell it for $900,000. You're making my
head hurt.
It's just, again, in my opinion, it's overregulation. Overregulation like prevents new housing from coming in the market.
I've seen the overbuild in my hometown in Georgia because there's less regulation, I'm sure, and they can throw 200 houses on 20 acres or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's discouraging to see.
Yeah.
So I could see the struggle. It is frustrating to not have any new construction up here, but it is what it is. And we have quaint little towns because of it. And I do enjoy that. So right now we are having to work with what is already here for the most part.
So getting back to inventory.
Yes.
Yeah. So the inventory
is what I was doing.
The inventory issue is an exacerbation of lack of inventory for other people to move around. So if there's no inventory out there for people to buy, then they're reluctant to sell. That's an issue.
Everyone's kind of doing what's the stalemate?
Yeah.
Kind of move.
Right. If I had houses for people to buy, then they would be confident to sell, and then those people would be confident to put their properties on the market and create more inventory.
The cycle.
The second problem is, everybody's expectations is that by now we were going to see interest rates down into the 5s, and they're still in the 6s. And so interest rates continue to be an issue.
That was my second point is unrealistic client expectations. I know agents are coming into this where recently we had a client and they were expecting a bidding war and the bidding war didn't happen. Do you think bidding wars are a thing anymore? And then they think, oh, if I list it for 700, then it's definitely going to go for 850. And it's like, no.
So I'll get to that, but let me just tell you the real reason why we're dealing with such a lack of inventory. And to give people perspective, in the hometown where my office is, right, in Mansfield, 3 years ago, there was 250 single family home sales in the town over the course of this 12-month time period that I looked at.
Okay.
And then this past 12 months, there was 99 home sales. So you went from 215 home sales to 99. That's massive, right? So you're looking at almost a 60% reduction in volume of transactions that happens. So there's this hesitancy on top of, you've got low inventory, you've got interest rates remaining stubbornly high. And then on top of it, you get the changing of the guard up at the national level with the president, a lot of uncertainty that happens with tariffs and interest rates and government funding and what's going on with Musk. And you add all of these things up and it makes people feel uncertain. And when people are uncertain about the outcome, they tend not to make decisions because they're scared. They don't know what direction is it going to go. Our interest rate's going to go down and then
scary.
Volume, sales price is going to go up. Our interest rate's going to stay steady. Our price is going to decline. If prices decline and interest rates stay up, like, should we wait? Should we sell? Should we buy? I don't know because I can't see it. Now, if the market was definitely declining or definitely going up or definitely staying the same, then people would go, okay, I know what the reality of the market is going to be. And I'm ready. I've made a decision because I can make a decision because I know sort of with some certainty what's going to happen. But if they don't know if it's going up, down, or otherwise, they get paralyzed. And when people get paralyzed, they don't make a decision. And so that's a lot of what we're seeing. There's a lot of motivated people that want to buy and sell. Number one, they don't have the houses to allow them or afford them to do so. They have low interest rates that sort of financially prevent them from doing it. And then on top of it, they're completely uncertain about what direction the market is going to go. So what they do, I'm just going to wait. And that's what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing right now.
How do agents address that? How do they get new leads? How do they guide their clients through this? When maybe the client doesn't want to, but there definitely is a need to, or...
Well, so we're really seeing need-based moves right now. That is a continuation: birth, death, divorce, job relocation, retirement. There's very few voluntary sort of situations that exist right now. So when you ask, what does an agent do? Well, an agent has to be that much more on top of lead generation because there's going to be fewer sales to split up between the agent population. And that's why we're seeing a massive exodus in the real estate industry from real estate agent perspective, because there's not enough to go around. And so the people who are getting paid right now are the ones that are working really hard, and they have to work a lot harder for their piece of the pie, but they'll still get it if they work hard.
Because like what you said, there are moves being made. You just have to go find it.
There's still 4 million home sales in the United States this year. There will be 4 million.
You just have to find it.
We're trending under that right now, but there'll be 4 million home sales this year.
So what does an agent do to address low inventory?
Work harder. That's the thing, is that nothing really has changed about sort of the way business is obtained or done. It is just there's less of it. And when there's less of it to spread around, and there's more people going after a smaller supply, you just have to get better at what you do. So you have to, like, if you were working at 80% of capacity before, you got to be working at 100% now.
That 20% is going out and finding the business.
Yeah. And most agents work at like 20%, 30 and or less than that. So it's, again, there's nothing overly complicated about selling real estate. It's just not easy, and it's becoming harder. Clients' expectations are higher. You look at what we provide for agents to beat out a good real estate agent or a good team in a particular area, between AI and the consolidation of all of these real estate companies and commissions going up so agents can spend more money on infrastructure costs and client support and
what they offer,
it goes up. So if you're not sort of getting to a point where you can compete, it's just going to be harder and harder and harder to do.
That's something else, like down the list, is the agent's role has shifted from a salesperson to a strategic advisor. Like they offer a suite of services on insight.
I still think that their number one job is a salesperson. I still believe that that is in essence what we are.
But as the salesperson, what you have to bring to the table has increased. And
yeah.
that's
Your suite of services that you sell has to be bigger.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in with MLS sheets anymore. And I shouldn't say that. You can.
It's part of it.
People do all the time. They just walk in with an MLS sheet and a contract. But again, because of social media,
which is also on my list.
Yep. Because of all of that, people are understanding that there is more that agents are offering. So the number of clients that are expecting minimum standards is going down at a pretty fast pace.
Mm-hmm.
People want professionalism. They want good quality customer service. I mean, they're getting used to Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? If you can track your package and get it the same day and track it and not, and know exactly where it is on your driver's course, but you're selling a property where the agent's going to make $20,000 and you can't get a call back for a week, or they take photos with their,
or there's a surprise with their camera.
With their
phone. I know.
I just can't and I still see it every day. So it's still happening.
Oh, it's still happening.
But again, I think that it's getting harder and harder for agents to survive. I think the ones that are still doing it are doing it because they're experienced and they already have their book of business and they're knowledgeable, so they can get away with it to a certain extent. But if you're a newer agent trying to do what an older agent, you have to provide more and work harder, way harder than an agent who's had time in the business.
Unrealistic client expectations. Buyers want the 2020 rates, and the buyers want to feel like they got a deal. Do deals still exist? Like a deal on the house? We bought our house in 2018, and I'm like, oh, we got a deal.
Yeah.
But that's because it's looking back. Like looking back, you always say I got a deal.
Right.
Because it's always going to go up.
No, there's not deals. I mean, unless you're doing...
It didn't feel like a deal in 2018. It felt like a huge investment.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what it's always going to feel like in the moment.
I think that's the message. Is the feeling is the same for your parents that bought their house for $45,000 back in the day with a certain rate. It felt overwhelming. It felt like a huge investment. There's that gut feeling like, oh my gosh, can I do this? For most people. Mm-hmm. And that is true no matter when you buy.
Yeah, I think it's just it's uncomfortable to spend a lot of money on anything, right? Mm-hmm. And when you look at the percentage of your income that goes to housing these days, and maybe it's not right. I mean, in certain circumstances, people should rent, right? Like it doesn't make financial sense for them to purchase. But again, it's such an evaluation on a case-by-case basis where if it depends on your motivation and what you can afford and your timeline in the house and your risk tolerance.
Do you feel like for buyers out there looking, they need to find a place they are motivated that they will find something that works for them? There's always an answer or a home that works.
Depends. Yeah. Well, no, I don't think that. I think that they have to be flexible and realistic. I think if they're not flexible and realistic, then no, they're going to keep banging their head against the wall. And it also has to evaluate how much risk tolerance they have. Mm-hmm. So if you want to buy a house in Mansfield for under $600,000 that has 3 beds, 2 baths, and a garage, and you want a home inspection and you want an appraisal contingency and you're financing 96.5%, I'm sorry, right now, unless you catch lightning in a bottle, there's no way you'll be competitive.
So if you're super motivated, but super low risk tolerance, it's, and then you want something very specific that's in low inventory,
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So now, there are things that you can do to increase the likelihood that you can be more competitive, right? There's financing programs. We have lenders that we work with that fully underwrite you before you make an offer. So you don't actually even need a financing contingency. An agent who has great relationships with other real estate agents can get insight into how much and how competitive an offer situation is going to be. I think the quality of the agent, whether you choose me or somebody else who knows exactly what they're doing and does this all the time and or has resources like younger agents who can rely on somebody like me, that will increase the odds that you get your home, right? But at the end of the day, your risk tolerance, the opportunity that's there based on your motivation and your risk tolerance will ultimately determine whether or not you're competitive. So again, the opportunity has to match your motivation and your risk tolerance. And if you have good real estate agents, you're competitive.
So the agent needs to really have good conversations with their clients.
They have to be prepared, like in advance. So like if an agent is working with a client, never has a conversation about what like the structure of offers look like, and you throw that on them the moment that they're emotionally interested in a property, and you hit them with, hey, you probably can't get a home inspection. You've never had a conversation about waiving a home inspection before. The odds that they can emotionally and mentally overcome the obstacle in the moment while they're also emotional about buying a house, and they're emotional about and nervous and stressed about the fact that they have to pay $40,000 to $60,000 to $80,000 over list price. I mean, all of those things just sort of, it prevents people, again, uncertainty. It goes back to uncertainty. They have uncertainty. They don't feel confident. And so they can't make a decision.
Let's go to the other side. Sellers, they want 2021 prices. They can?
Yeah. Yeah, we're above where we were in 2021.
You think so? You don't think there's been a price kind of like...
Not since 2021.
Okay.
No. We're up over 2021 prices. I would say that depending on the location. So the market's really interesting. Like last week, we were working with a couple of really good clients of ours that were looking at a property in Norwood, and it was a 2-bed, 1.5 bath ranch with a 1-car garage in Norwood. Great location, close to downtown, but it was like 1,400 square feet. It was listed for $750,000, which at that price, based on the comps, 3-bed, 1.5 baths, 3-bed, 2 baths, 2-bed, 2 baths, all of that kind of stuff was indicating prices. Like there was not another 2-bedroom home that sold over the past year in Norwood for over $631,000. Not any other 2-bedroom home in Norwood that sold for over $631,000. Now, this house was better than all the other ones that sold, but it went on for $750,000. We were going to offer $800,000. I had a conversation with the agent, waiving home inspection, waiving mortgage contingency, putting up non-refundable funds.
High risk tolerance.
$800,000. And he goes, you're not even close.
Okay.
Now,
is that discouraging? Is that just...
That's reality.
What is that?
I don't care whether it's discouraging or not. That's the reality. And that's not true for everywhere. In Mansfield specifically this year, we haven't seen that energy and enthusiasm when we've put property on market.
Right. I can think of a ranch recently that went for like around 6.
Around 6, right? And we have that one on Old Elm Street that we didn't get the activity that sort of we've been used to. Now, that property sells for $600,000, a little bit over. We ended up selling it for.
So would you tell the clients that missed out, they said, you're not even close with $800,000 in Norwood. Are you going to go back to your clients and say, I want you to look in these towns?
No. Their motivation is to be in Norwood or Dedham.
Okay.
They have a beautiful home right now. The only reason that they want to move is because they want to move closer to the city.
So you, because of your good conversations with them and really understanding their motivations and their reasons, you're going to stay the course.
So they're a perfect example of somebody who is motivated for something very specific and they won't deviate from what they want. They want a couple of particular areas and they want a good condition, but they're super risk tolerant.
Yeah. So you know that client and you're going to feel good about being declined because they're going to
It might take 6 months or a year. It might take 18 months to find them the right home.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
And those are all based on you knowing your client's needs and wants.
I guess I don't agree with the idea that sellers right now have unrealistic expectations. I think sellers right now are actually more cautious and concerned about pricing than when we first came out of that 2021 craziness.
Okay.
The first year after that, people were unrealistic.
People felt like that wasn't real.
Correct. Now, because people are pricing homes so high, agents and sellers, and some stuff is sitting on the market, which never happened back in 2021, or one house will only have 1 or 2 offers on the property. I think sellers are a little bit nervous that the market's going down and that the market might go down further.
Yeah, you hear these stories. Oh, it was a bidding war. We had 12 offers. And when you list your home and you only get 1 or 2 offers, it can sometimes feel like, did we do it right? This feels like a little bit of a failure, even though we found the buyer.
Again, based on what expectations?
That's the agent.
Is the agent setting expectations that things are selling for way over list price? Are they based on the price?
It's all specific to the home and the location, and
You take the house that we didn't get a ton of offers on it at 600 and we sold it over list price, but like if you put that on for $525,000, you're going to get 10, 12, 15 offers on it. But if you price it correctly at the top end of the market, then great. You know, there was a house in Mansfield that went on the market at like 8.25, and I would have listed it closer to 875. You know, there was a lot of offers on the property and it sold for upper 8s. So depending on the buyer,
I see what you're saying,
and the pricing and the seller's like there's very little correlation between putting a property on the market and multiple offer situations. It all has to do with price and multiple offers, because you can get multiple offers regardless as long as you price it low enough. But our goal right now, because there's not enough buyers to definitively get multiple offers if it's just a little under. So you either go 2 tracks. You either go way under and you guarantee yourself multiple offers, but then you're relying on the buyers pushing the price to the target range.
To what you actually want.
Right? And if you don't get the correct buyers at the correct moment, then you could be left low. Our goal right now is to price it sort of close to market value. Maybe we get 1 or 2 or 3 offers. But if you're $20,000 or $30,000 less and you don't hit the right buyers and they only pay list price at that point, then
what were you really wanting? A bidding war or the right price?
Right.
So right now you are, for your listing clients, would you say that you're like advising them to be just under market and setting their expectations for all we need is 1 buyer? Is that where you like to be?
I don't care where I am. I present them with options and I tell them expectations based on those options and I let them decide. So Lauren, there's a multitude of options that we could go on market here. And obviously our goal is to sell the property at the highest price possible. But until we put it on the market, we don't know which buyers are in the marketplace and what they're willing to pay. So we have a couple of different strategies that we implement to try to get the top dollar. In a market like 2021, it didn't really matter. You price it under and it's definitely going to go way over list price. Right now, we're dealing with a situation that unless the right buyers are in the marketplace at that exact moment and push the pricing, there's a chance when you price it low, there's a chance that you could get top dollar and the best terms. And that's wonderful. But if those buyers don't push the pricing, even if you get the best terms possible, they might not push the pricing as high as we could get otherwise. Because sometimes if it's only 1 or 2 buyers, they go, well, let's pay list price or let's pay 5 over. But if the list price was $10,000 or $15,000 less, then they would pay list price or slightly over. It's not like we have comps that go, this house is worth $400,000, $500,000, $700,000, $1 million. It's like, well, but there's differences. That's always a farmer's porch that's different. Like it's not like down in South Carolina where it's 4 or 5 different houses. So we don't know. Like we have educated guesses. We base it on what we believe the market will respond to. But the decision on pricing strategy is the sellers. If they want my advice, I will give them advice. But I'm going to give them the options. I'm going to let them make a decision.
That's always your advice to agents.
Yeah. That requires them to know what they're doing. Most agents don't know what they're doing.
Working hard.
But they can work hard and they can educate themselves and be around people who know what they're doing. But most agents are just winging it. I
want to quickly deviate, and I loved what you said. Like Pedro, when he's working with his clients, he's able to say, listen, I'm gonna guide you through this. And if we come across a situation, I have Ben Esposito here, who I can always go to for advice and bring him in and loop him in, and he's advising me. And that has to like be a huge card he can lay on the table as he's presenting himself.
He can have me there.
That's amazing. Like
we went on a listing presentation in Brockton the other day, and it was a client that he found, and he brought me in, and we're waiting to hear back because they don't want to sell in for another month or so. But like, then I sit down and they get the energy and enthusiasm of a young agent
and the time
and then they get the experience and the knowledge and the skill set from an experienced agent. It's literally the best case scenario for anybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Being on a team like this with different levels of experience and time available, and
but then understand too that Pedro made a conscious decision to take a significant percentage of his commissions that he brings in and give them to me, because he recognized that he would rather do transactions and learn and grow and have me sort of as his, trump card, and come in and help him obtain all this business, and at the same time learn and develop the skills and the routines and the management. He would rather do that than keep 95% or 80% of his commissions of doing no transactions. Again,
but in a market like this, decisions where the inventory is low, the piece of the pie is harder to get. That's like the best way to do it. I mean, he's so smart because he is working really hard, learning a ton, and he has people behind him that are going to help him get across the finish line. I wanted to go back to that for new agents. Like, that is such a smart way to approach this job.
Yeah,
which is really hard.
I think there's a need. So what surprises me all the time is that there's not as much collaboration between experienced agents and newer agents.
Really?
On an individual level.
Even in like brokerage offices?
No. Everybody is under this assumption that they want to keep everything. They want to keep all of it.
I know.
Right? So they don't see the value in giving up any percentage of what they're making. So really experienced agents don't see the value in having a younger agent come in and do their open houses and all of the legwork and all the stuff so that they can pull back some of their time. Right? And then younger agents don't want to give a significant percentage of their commissions to an experienced agent because they think, well, if I get a deal, then I can probably get it done and I'll get 100% of what I make instead of splitting it with this broker, right? But both of them solve problems. I talk to experienced agents and newer agents all the time. I'm like, just like collaborate, come together. You have the youth, the energy and the enthusiasm, the motivation, right? Which is all really good for an experienced agent to have around them because they don't have the energy and the enthusiasm and the motivation like they did when they were young. So you have that combined, but then the experience and the knowledge and the skill set of the experienced agent then goes in hand. It's like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But most agents, both experienced and inexperienced, like they just don't see it.
There's almost like a stalemate situation going on there too. Where they're just not willing to move towards the center.
They don't have it modeled very often. So it's hard. And believe me, I get it from an experienced agent standpoint and a youth.
Yeah, you've been open with this. It's tough sometimes on you.
It's tough. It takes a lot of time. And then on the younger side, a lot of the times the agents, they're not good leaders. They're not good managers. They're not good team leads. And so, you're giving a percentage of your commission. You're not getting anything.
I've seen that too, where an agent comes in and they're hoping to be led and they're hoping to have access to more business. And they just don't ever get it. Yep. And they just kind of sit in their corner.
Yep.
Which it's disappointing to see and disheartening on the agent.
But that's why this whole EXP thing makes a lot of sense, right? Because it incentivizes guys like me to pour out into younger agents.
Yeah.
And the biggest trouble that I'm having right now is that, number one, I'm just not reaching enough agents. And that's my own fault. I'm figuring out how this all works.
Yeah.
But the other part is that I'm recognizing what it's like to be a broker and understand how difficult it is to change behaviors of real estate agents because they get paid just enough money to make them feel like they're doing things correctly. And then number two, for them to change and make a decision that's scary and risky and uncomfortable. Man, it's hard to get people. They see it. They know that it's the best option for them. They know that it's right for them. But the fear and the uncertainty and the discomfort prevents them from taking action. And then it creates this cycle where then they don't trust their decision-making process. And then they feel bad that they've gone through this and said, yes, well, I need this change. And then they don't do it. And then they don't trust themselves. And so it's this vicious cycle. But again, my goal is, regardless, I'm not attached to the outcome of whether people partner with me or get value from what I'm saying, I'm just going to continue to pour it out there. And then if people receive it and it helps them, great. If they decide that partnership is in their best interest and they pull the trigger, then that's great. But I am unattached to the outcome.
You know what's interesting is like the agent is trying to get their client to trust the process, to go with what is the right choice. This is clear. You know, we've looked at all the options. This is the path forward. And the client just can't get there and can't list the house, even though they need to.
Yeah.
And like they're drowning or whatever the situation is. And the agent gets frustrated with the client for not just...
Which is always funny to me because they're doing the same thing to the broker.
They're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They just won't move forward.
Pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it almost seems like if the agent would just move forward and take that risk and like trust themselves and trust the process, that they could almost exemplify it to their clients and be like, listen, I've been there. I know what this feels like, but I'm telling you.
Yeah. It's trust and confidence in oneself. And that confidence in whatever you're trying to relay is infectious. So if I'm confident, like if I sit down and I'm waffling and I'm just not a confident person.
Personally.
Right.
In your own personal life and like in like your career.
Yep.
It's going to come across the table.
Yeah, for sure.
And the clients are going to feel it.
Yep.
We pick up on
It's desperation.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
I want to talk about social media and tech overload that agents are facing right now. And we all face it across the board. We feel pressure to constantly be on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the things. Like you've got to be online. It is the new way that people consume information. So we're used to having things kind of like fed to us, not having to go search for it. And like, of course, you can go on MLS or Redfin or Zillow or whatever and search for homes, but we kind of just want it to be like presented to us. So clients have to be putting their stuff out there on the places that people are consuming the information. And then there's also email campaigns and virtual tours and AI tools and CRMs. And it's just, I mean, a lot of being an agent is online and a desk job, and it's overwhelming because then you also have to be out there door knocking and cold calling and showing houses and going to open houses with your clients and things like that. Like it's a lot of footwork as well. What's your advice on balancing it all?
Suck it up. God. I don't know. Like
I don't know. It's hard.
It is, but they get paid a lot of money. Okay, somebody's going to sell their $500,000 home, right? And they charge 2.5%. This agent's going to get like $12,000 to $13,000 for going out and doing that job. If you don't like to work hard, then go get a job where all you have to do is show up. You're running a business. I think that's what people don't understand.
That's a really good point.
You are an individual business owner trying to build a client database. You're essentially opening a business when you start a real estate career. What is your expectation? Talk about unrealistic expectations. People are just going to come in and it's going to be easy? Of course it's not. I worked 70 hours a week for like 15 years of my life to build this business. And I still have to work my ass off.
Yeah. You are the marketing team. You are the HR team. You are the finance team. You are the transaction team.
I think that's for good real estate agents. I think that public perception of real estate agents is unfair. You know, they see the HGTV shows where it's just like, it looks like a goddamn vacation, going out and helping people buy their dream home and everybody's smiling and laughing and cocktail parties and all. That's not real estate. That's not our real estate.
Oh,
that
like
might be high end.
Sunset.
Yeah, sure. But that's a different.
It's mine. Yeah.
That's a different business. That's not real estate, conventional real estate sales.
Yeah.
That's
glam, glorified.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's production.
So if you're in the business to sell real estate, it is going to be hard. This is a hard job. And I don't think that the public gets that, nor do I think the agents that get involved think that, because the actual job of selling real estate can be very easy. Okay, Lauren calls me to buy a house. We go out, we see a house, she has high risk tolerance and she's got a lot of money, and we make an offer and that agent can make $20,000 all of a sudden.
That was fun.
That was easy, right? How often, I mean, you've been around us a lot more over the past year. How often does that situation happen? Like 1 in 20, 1 in 30? So yeah, sure, that can happen and it can be very easy.
And it's encouraging when that happens.
Sure, it's like winning the lottery, but that's not the reality of what this is like.
It's
the
a win.
reality is that this is very, very hard work.
And I think too, for social media specifically, agents have to switch their mindset and realize that it's not for fun. This isn't all, social media is not a game anymore. It's not social. It is marketing.
Yeah.
It is part of your marketing budget. It is part of your marketing hourly allotment.
The reason that agents have a hard time with it is because there's generally no short-term return on your investment. So you're putting all of this effort into, I've been doing social media for like 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten like 1,200 followers on Instagram, and I've paid a lot of money for it. And I started a YouTube channel, and there's 300 and some odd subscribers.
Yeah.
Right. And Facebook, there's, I don't know, another 1,000 or something like that. And for sure, I've gotten business from it, and or it's confirmed with different clients and agents who have partnered with us. So there has been a return on investment, but certainly not like a comparable return on investment if I just went out and sold real estate. Like the amount of hours and the amount of money that I've spent on that is a huge negative return on investment in the short term. On the long term, but they're also, my goals are different than an average real estate agent's.
Right.
Right. So an average real estate agent, all they have to do is be a presence. They have to show that they're professional. They have to show that they do business. They have to be an active part of the community. They don't need to build to 10 to 20 to 30,000 people or subscribers.
No, they need to show that they know what they're doing.
And it's such an easy way for them to create the relationship with people that they might have a very small connection to. Another parent at the school who follows them on social media starts to get to know them more.
And likes how they present their listings online. And that's my biggest advice, is to get really creative and in your marketing on social media, on Facebook. And it doesn't take much to impress people, to just do something a little different.
God, you're so funny. That's the opposite of my advice.
Oh, if I were talking to an agent, I would be like,
yeah,
just.
So tell me, I'm the agent. Tell me, and I'll tell you what's going through that mind of that agent. So you would say, get creative, do something different.
Hire a photographer that can do a video as well.
Yep.
And can do the drone, make the marketing that investment there, and then make sure when you put it online, it's done in a like visually pleasing way.
You're saying as far as listing, like...
Yeah, if you're
promoting listings,
which I think is what the average agent needs to do, and also recording themselves at the open houses and just being more comfortable online.
Yeah.
I feel like that is like the bare minimum of what agents need to be doing to just be like in the game of social media marketing.
I think they just need to post whatever it is. I think they need to do it consistently and just create that routine. And once they create the routine, then they can get more creative about it. But until then, like, they just need to post. They just need to do the activity to get comfortable with it. And how they can do that is they can just rip off and duplicate.
And
all they have to do is follow people that do it, that they get inspired by, that they follow, that they like, whether that's me or somebody else. If we do stuff, then just copy it. Literally copy it. You can go copy word for word. Any of my social media that people want, they can go on there and transcribe word for word what I said, record it themselves and post it. And I would guarantee you that 99% of people that put content on social media, they don't care if you copy it word for word. That's essentially what people do.
And I guarantee you, if an agent that wasn't doing that before started doing that, they would get business.
For sure.
They would get business.
It's just hard to correlate. It's hard to
correlate, but they would get it.
Yep.
And if the agent would just reframe their mindset, this is not me personally putting myself out there. This is me being a business owner doing the marketing that is needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. And when you remove that, and like as you get further down the road, of course, the more vulnerable you get and all that online.
So the problem is that
they think it's a personal reflection on them, but it's their business.
Perhaps, but it's an allocation of time. It's a mismanagement of time. So we just got done saying how hard all of the hats that you have to wear as a real estate agent are. Where on your list of people, or where a list of tasks of stuff that you have to do, does social media fall? And that's a hard thing. So you got to go out and you got to prospect, and you got to do lead generation, and then you've got to do your listing presentations, and you've got to present, you've got to show property, you've got to go on appointments, you've got to then negotiate contracts and do transaction management, right? Those are all things that those are basic jobs of real estate agents, right? But then you've got to balance all the books, you've got to do hiring, you've got to do new technology, you've got to do marketing yourself, all of these kind of things. So what tends to happen over time is that the level of discomfort that people have about posting on social media, along with the difficulty to correlate the direct business result from the activity, along with their discomfort, puts it very, very low on their list. And so again, it's just like, then you have to go back to and prioritize things, and you have to look at, okay, in this quarter, what am I going to work on? So yes, for a quarter, I might need to work on my books to make sure that everything is set up so that it's easier to do. And then the next one, I have to improve on my listing presentation, right? And I have to work really hard on my listing presentation. But eventually you come to the point where, like, if you're doing things diligently and you're actually working, which most real estate agents don't work.
Yes.
They don't work.
Keep saying it.
They don't work. Right? So nobody works 40 hours. If you're selling less than 10 homes a year, you're not working 40 hours unless you're brand new in the business. But you're not working. You're not working 40 hours a week on average. Guarantee it. If you had a boss, if I was sitting behind you on a daily basis, I guarantee you work 15 to 20 hours a week. And you still make 60, 80, 100,000 bucks from selling those 8 or 10 homes. And you're working a part-time job, but you don't take it seriously. And so if you're working 40 hours a week, that means that you allocate 20 hours a week to prospecting, lead generation, 10 hours a week to going on appointments and showing property. And then with the additional 10 or 20 or 30 hours, that's when you have to accomplish the shit that you don't want to do.
The leaping, the getting ahead.
Yeah. And without accountability, without a boss telling you to do that, without somebody going, hey, listen, I'm doing that. Do you want to do it with me?
Without a coach.
Right? Without an office that everybody goes to and like is motivated and enthusiastic, without being around people that are inspiring you. How do you stay motivated? How are you going to do these outsides if you're not participating in all of the things that are available? The reason that brokers don't offer more like educational events and all that kind of shit, because nobody shows up.
I know.
Nobody participates, right? You put all of this money and time into shit, and then you have all these expenses, and then they don't show up.
Yeah. Preach.
So you you go back to social media, you just have to prioritize it. You have to develop the belief that this is good both short and long term, and you have to be willing to do it for an extended period of time to get the results that you want. If you're not doing it for an extended period of time,
consistent,
it's just not going to work.
Consistency, and that's something like we do have a mastermind. It was our latest one on social media strategy, and we had our social media strategist from our team that we use, Social Imprint, and her biggest piece of like advice and biggest like complaint or the reasons people don't do well with social media is consistency. So I would say to go check that out. It's got myself and Ben, and then also our social media strategist, Ari. So the last 10 minutes, we didn't get to everything, so we'll have to do part 2. But I do want to do a lightning round. Okay. There's 7 things. We're just going to list them off. What is your favorite CRM right now?
If I'm being honest, the Compass CRM.
Oh.
Their proprietary CRM is amazing. They pour tons of money into their technology. And so I think the Compass CRM is above all else, at least that I've experienced. But you can't, like, I'd pay them $1,000 a month for their CRM. But they're not going to license it to people who aren't at their organization. So if you want the best CRM in the market, you can go and pay Compass a large percentage of your commissions and get it. But that's just me being honest. Their CRM their whole technology platform was ridiculous. It was so good. Outside of that, it's probably Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss is amazing. We're currently using KV Core because it's part of the EXP platform, and we want to find out how agents can use it successfully and manage it. It's just not
so that then you can
so then
advise.
I can coach them and advise them without them having to pay for a CRM in addition to the one that they get for free through EXP. So like we're struggling to use KV Core. It's not as intuitive. The website, the CRM is a little bit clunky. You can accomplish what you want to accomplish with it. It's just, it could be so much better. And I feel like it wouldn't take that much to sort of update their software, but that's me being a tech guy. So I'm just like,
yeah.
like just make it better.
Just code it. Just code it.
Just code it differently. Like use AI to code it differently. I think Follow Up Boss pound for pound right now is probably, I've heard Brevity's good. There's a couple of other ones that people love. I've really only used Compass, Top Producer, KV Core, and Follow Up Boss.
Do you use it every day?
Yeah. It's where all of our clients' information is held. So like for details, and we keep our call list in there, and we have our follow-up calls and our anniversaries, and we use MailChimp. So we sort of we merge the email lists and do the newsletter, and we use a lot of technology that integrates with our CRM.
What is one open house tip that always works?
At the open house, I would say just try to have a conversation. Don't ask a series of questions, and never ask if they're working with a real estate agent. Hi, are you working with a real estate agent? Think about how that comes across. It's like, well, then you're only going to help me if I'm not working with a real estate agent. And I don't want to tell you that I'm not working with a real estate agent, because then you're going to bug me about working with you. And it just like, it makes people freeze up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think just have a conversation with people. Genuinely be interested in like, why are they looking for a house, and what are they looking for, and what information. Be prepared to talk about the house. I can't tell you how many times like I go to an open house with a client and the agent has no idea about anything. How old is the roof? I don't know. I can check with the seller. Like, oh,
really?
Oh God, yes. Yeah. When was this kitchen renovated? I really don't know. I can check with this all day long. They have no idea about the information about the house. So be prepared, because again, it shows your either lack of professionalism and knowledge and skills and everything. So just have a conversation with people, and then afterwards follow up. 99% of agents, they have you sign in on a sign-in sheet. They get all of your information and they never do anything about it. So follow up.
I know cold calling worth it in 2025. I know your answer is yes. So I'm going to take it another level. How many hours a week minimum does a agent need to be cold calling?
That depends on their goals. So the difficulty for people is that they don't have enough evidence to correlate. Like it used to take me 180 contacts to take a listing. So I knew that if I wanted to take one listing a week for the entire year, I had to talk to 180 people every week.
A week.
Yep.
Okay.
So then I would say out of 5 days, I've got to talk to whatever that is, 30, 25 contacts a day to do that. Now I might probably do 30 or 35 or 40 to make sure that those numbers, but without
and does that
keeping
take you
track
like an
of your
hour?
numbers. No. I mean, I was averaging 12 to 13 contacts an hour back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on your, whether you're using a multi-line dialer, whether you're hand dialing, how many numbers you have, all that kind of stuff. Most agents, when they prospect, if they're not doing it seriously, they'll get like 3 or 4 contacts an hour.
Because they make a phone call and then they do something else.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I think it has to match your goals. And
I love the automatic dialer idea.
Awesome. Because it prevents you from getting distracted.
I think it's awesome. That's what I would do. What's one thing you wish new agents would stop doing?
They don't do anything anyway. What do you mean stop doing? Stop sleeping in. Stop being lazy.
Okay. I love that. Perfect.
Yeah, I think
Stop sleeping in.
Stop sleeping in. Stop pretending. I would say stop pretending like you're working. You're not working. Evaluate your day. Take one of those like chess timers. And every time you actually start doing work, and doing work is not checking your fucking social media.
I know.
Like do work, time in. Every time you get distracted or go to the bathroom.
Like lawyers and like different kind of, anyways, lawyers I know have to do this. They have to almost like log their time by 6 minutes.
Yeah.
because they bill, hourly, and so they have to track everything they do.
Their billable hours. Yeah.
Their billable hours. You almost have to have that mindset. What if you had to track all your billable hours? What would it be?
Yeah.
And make yourself do it.
And then just put yourself in proximity to people that are actually doing business. If you're a newer agent, trying to do this all by yourself is like next to impossible.
How do you get into an office like this? I mean, this is like the dream setup.
Prove that you're worthy. That's what Pedro did. He just was consistent. He showed up to every event. He kept asking. He was here. He showed he was motivated. And as soon as the team was in need, he was like the only choice.
Nice.
But I've had one other guy who's not full-time, who I will hire as soon as he becomes full-time. He did the same thing. And I would hire him in a heartbeat right now if he was full-time. But I don't hire part-time agents. But outside of those two, like there's been very few people that actually approach me. Nobody ever asked me if I'm like hiring agents. Like they never come up to me and ask me that.
Is it an ego thing? What is it?
Maybe intimidation. I don't know. I've been told in the past that I feel like with social media, they can get to know me a lot better. I think that there's a shyness and a timidness that doesn't need to be there with most people, but they are. That's okay. But it's not going to get anything. You have to be sort of bold to make it in this business. So I would just keep searching for good real estate agent teams or real estate agents, solve their problems. Show up to an office every day or call an agent in your company or